Well, hi guys. So basically, we are going to reset the A7R4 with the re-initialization setting. So you just need to push your menu button and go over to the toolbox, which is up here on the right hand side, and basically flick through until you see settings reset. And in there you've got two options there. Camera settings reset, which means you can just literally just take the camera back to default settings. It doesn't do anything else. The other one is initialize. Initialize apparently resets the sensor, does loads of other stuff, bits and pieces, but also resets the camera back to factory settings. I'm not going to do this again because I've already set my camera back up as I like it, and it seems to be working quite well. So if you are having any problems with your autofocus or anything like that, try this first before you send it away to being repaired or anything like that to be being seen. So we kind of come out of there. Going to go back into the menus. I'm going to show you what I've got as my settings basically, just quickly, so you can kind of maybe match them and see how you are. So have a look basically, but I shoot RAW most of the time and I shoot compressed RAW most of the time. I shoot uncompressed when I am doing things in studio or in low light and stuff like that, so you get the full dynamic range. Generally, the compressed is absolutely fine for everyday use, even high-end stuff, it's absolutely fine as well. JPEG, extra fine if I'm actually shooting any JPEGs, very rarely, and at 60 megapixels. 3:2 ratio is the full sensor, and I have APS-C Super 35 on auto at the moment. So if I push record to do a little bit of video, it obviously jumps in a little bit and gives me a little bit more range on top of whatever lens I'm using. Sometimes I turn it off, so I use the full sensor. So depending on what I am actually doing. Next page, because I'm in RAW, long exposure noise reduction is off, and I generally have that off anyway, even if I was in JPEG, just because if you do a long exposure, say you do a 1 minute exposure, it then needs 1 minute to apply the noise reduction. So it's bloody annoying. Imagine doing a 20-minute exposure or something like that. You've got to wait 20 minutes for it to do its thing. So turn that off. It's one of the things I've done for years. It may work faster than that now, I don't know, but that's what it used to be like. I don't use it. Because I shoot professionally and print professionally only, I don't print at home or anything like that. I can't speak. Adobe RGB. sRGB is fine for most people, but because I'm using printers who obviously have calibrated printers and screens and everything like that, it's pretty handy having that. Color space, that is what it is. Lens comp, basically I'll just have it on auto and distortion compensation off. I'll deal with that later if need be in Photoshop. Drive mode, continuous shooting, that's what I'm in most of the time, AFC. Bracket settings, don't really look at. Interval shooting, haven't really used it, but obviously you can set it up to do time-lapse. Pixel shift mode, I've got it all set up in my FN button menu, so quick access. Select media, obviously just on there. Res custom shoot set, not really my thing, don't really use that much. Right, here we go. So this is where the focusing stuff starts. So AF1 on page 5 of 15. And basically focus mode, AFC, like I said, is what I'm used to. This is where I changed it. I changed it to release. So priority set in AFS and AFC is release, where normally it comes as balanced emphasis or AF. So I've gone for release at the moment. This may change, I don't know. Focus wide, obviously at the moment. Focus settings. It just messes around. But focus limit area basically allows you which ones you want to use. I generally use wide, zone, center, flexible spot, small, and the extended spot. And also tracking wide, tracking center generally. But I've got one of the custom buttons set up, so I can literally just push tracking on any of these anyway. So it is what it is. That's how I use that. All of these settings here. So AF point, AF area in switch via AF area. AF illuminator is off unless I really need it, but very rarely do you need it. Basically, tracking sensitivity, I've got it on standard on 3, and aperture drive in drive is standard as well. AF with shutter on. Pre-autofocus is off. That's sometimes handy though if you're at an air show or something like that, and you've got the camera aimed down at the ground, and suddenly something comes in, or a bird or whatever, or plane or whatever you're looking at, and you put it up, it's already trying to focus on something even as you're bringing it up to your face. So yeah, it has its thing, but it does cane batteries a bit. It's maybe not so bad nowadays with the new batteries, but with the old batteries it used to rip through them. Focus frame color I have is red, so you can see it nice and easily. I have AF area auto clear on, and what's that one? Ooh. AF area registration. That is off at the minute, but I'll have a look into that. Right, display continuous AF area is on, phase detection area on, and circular focus points. So I've got it on circulate. You can change it to does not circulate, but basically it means it can go across and come back again, and you can basically do a bit more, apparently. And I've got the menus, not remembering where I have been. So yeah, AF micro adjust is only really usable in the older style lenses, apparently. All of these other things here, you basically set it up as you want. I have multi-metering, face priority is on, spot metering is center, exposure step is 0.03 EV, AL with shutter auto, flash is fill-in flash, ambient flash basically, flash compensation is 0, red eye reduction is off, external flash that is not there. Right, this is another thing I've noticed. I found my colours were much more accurate when I had auto balance in white priority, set auto white balance. So normally it would just say auto, but if you go down to the second menu here, where it says priority set in auto white balance, and change that to white, I just found the whites were much whiter, and it just, I don't know, the colours just seemed a little bit more accurate, and it just looked a little bit better. That's for me, I don't know. But see what you think. I mean, it's worth a go. I mean, for me, it seems to work nice. DRO is on. Creative style, I've just got standard. Picture profiles off. Shutter auto white balance lock is on continuous shooting. And basically, all the other stuff I have here is no limit on the time for magnification. When you set a custom button for zooming in, basically, because I've got manual focus assist turned off, basically I'll do it manually. So if you have it on, it will just zoom in on screen, and I found that quite annoying. So now I have it as times 1, so it means you push the button once, it goes to 1, and then you push it again, it will go to like 5 times. AF in focus magnification off, MF assist off. Peaking settings, basically what colour and how much it's doing it. Anti-flicker shoot is off at the moment. Face registration and registry, I can't speak, sorry. Registry face priorities is off as well, so don't really use that. That's quite handy though if you're shooting something where you've got loads of people and you only want the camera to recognise certain people. So you can actually do face recognition with it. And then on to video, 4K, I mean at the minute, it's 25p 100 megabits per second. Proxy settings off. AF speed I've got fast, AF tracking responsive, and auto slow shutter is on, and initial focus magnification is 1, audio recordings on, audio levels on, audio out timing is live, wind noise is off. Wind noise is a funny thing, so if you're doing videos, I know this is completely different to autofocus and stuff, but if you have it on, it kind of muffles everything and actually makes it not as good. So you're actually better off either having a proper mic on with a sound guard on, so it doesn't pick up the wind or anything so much, or just having it off. Marker display off. Silent shooting is off, but obviously you can toggle that on and off. E front curtain shutter is on. I've got release without lens and release without card is both disabled. Steady shot is on. Steady shot settings are in auto, but it's quite good. So if you go manual and you set, I don't know, if you had an old manual lens, for example, and you had a 600mm basic steady shot, you can actually flick it to manual and actually put any old lens on, and it gives you some kind of stabilization, which is really quite cool. So that is quite good. Zoom settings. So basically, this is for when you are in JPEG. So you can have optical zoom, you can have clear image zoom, and stuff like that. So that is useful if you want to use it. I don't generally, but hey ho, that's for everyone else to pick and choose. This is where all your different settings are for display buttons, finder, monitor, auto. So basically, when you put your face up against the viewfinder, the screen turns off, which works quite nicely. Finder frame rate I have on high generally, because I'm generally out in good light anyway, so having a smoother frame rate is good. Zebra settings don't use, grid lines don't use, exposure set guide don't use. Live view display setting effect is on. If you're in studio, you generally turn it off, so it gives you basically a look through without any adjustments. You don't get any previews, especially if you're obviously shooting studio flash and stuff like that. You want to be able to see. Continuous shoot length always display. Custom key. So this is where I go in. So for me, I've got number 2. Number 1's not set, which is the wheel. I just use that for whatever. Bright monitoring is the top right hand one here, which allows you to see in the dark basically when you're composing stuff. It's actually brilliant. My AEL button is, I have it as autofocus, manual focus toggle. Brilliant. Used it for years like that, even back to the Konica Minolta, because I actually had the button there. Absolutely brilliant. So I've rarely ever changed my camera from on dials or anything like that. I literally just toggle on and off like that, just because it's easy and it's quick and it's convenient. And in fact, this is what I've done now with the RX10 Mark IV. I've done exactly the same. So when I put my hands in front of the camera, it's not trying to focus on my fingers, it's just focusing on the screen. So it's very, very handy. Touch operation select, so bottom right hand side where the dustbin is, I've just got that as toggle on and off for the touch screen, which I use occasionally, but most of the time I have it turned off because it's quite annoying, especially when you put your face up against it and you rub your nose on the screen and you wonder why your focus points has moved. Tracking on, so I've got the joystick button, click in basically is tracking, so you can have it in any of the modes, and if you focus on something and push tracking, it will just lock on to the animal or bird or whatever your thing. Number 2 is not set. Drive mode is standard anyway, ISO is standard, left and right. Zoom I've got as pushed down, and I can use the wheel to zoom in if I'm have to be using a bit of clear image zoom. And on top of the camera I've got customs 1 and 2, which is focus magnifier, which I said about, which is manually push it as long as you're as long as you are in manual focus, which I use by the toggle. Basically you just push it once, push it twice, push it 3 times, and you can zoom in at different rates and then back to normal. And pardon me. Custom 2, I've got switch left and right eyes, so when I'm doing portraiture and I want to swap eyes, I can do it like that. My lens button, so if I'm using one of the G Master lenses or any of the other lenses that have the button on the side of the lens, in fact the RX10 Mark IV has one as well, I set that as switch focus area, so I can literally just go tick 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 and it flicks through the different focus areas without me doing anything else. I think for me it's ideal. Coming out of there, custom key and video. Got a few things here, but some things are already preset obviously via the other menu, but audio record level I can adjust, and basically from APS-C to full frame selection, and nothing else I've actually bothered setting up because I don't really use it that often. Custom key for looking at images. Rating, so number 1 is rating, so I can push the top left hand button there and I can rate an image when I'm previewing my photo. So if we're going through with the model, taking some portraits, I can basically push She goes, oh, I love that one. We go, right, that one there. So you don't have to try and remember the numbers. I can now go, 5-star. So when I actually get back, I know I've got 20 5-star images that she really loves or he really loves. So you edit those ones first, you give them, and then if you go through and find any more, you know you've got the ones they loved, and any extras are a bonus, basically. Send to smartphone is obviously the other thing. There's a few others in there, but you can experiment and set them up yourselves. Function menu set. So this is the really, really cool thing about the Sony, and they brought this in quite a few years ago now. It allows you really quick access to stuff. Either when you've got the camera up at your face, you can push the FN button, and you can basically set up all of these different things. You've got 12 on each, so you've got for video and you've got for stills. So in the stills, I've got pixel shift mode on and off. I can set that very quickly. I've got animal and human detection. I've also got focus area, even though I can do that via my button. AF face priority on and off. Sometimes you don't want it on at all. Interval shooting, as I was talking about, you can shoot time lapses. APS-C and full frame. So that means I can toggle between having it on auto or definitely giving the cropped factor. So on the A7R4, it will become a 26 megapixel APS-C camera. The flash mode, white balance as well, my audio record levels, steady shot on and off, my record media button, and also RAW and JPEG. If you go down to the video side of things, I've got my audio level, the picture profile, white balance, human, animal, follow function, basically the sorry, not follow function, we're just reading. The autofocus areas, again, for some reason I've got the, that's playback on the sound, and also steady shot, and also autofocus, face recognition or whatever, you know, however you want it on and off, face detection, and a few other things there. Basically, it's the same on a couple of bits where I haven't actually controlled it and set it up properly. Video, I don't use a huge amount. I literally just push record and I record something and I push stop. I'm not necessarily making videos like a lot of people do, so for me it doesn't really matter. My dial setup, basically you can adjust your dials, what they do. I leave them as is, and other dial setups there. A, V and T rotate, so I've just got it as normal. Dial EV conversation off. Movie mode always. So that means you just push your movie button and it starts recording. Lock operation parts off. Audio signals I have off because I don't like the beeping noises all the time. So when it's focusing all the time, it's annoying. So turn them off. Send to smartphone, all this sort of stuff. Basically, I have it on airplane mode most of the time. Saves the batteries. So I'm going to bypass all that. Playback is the same. Don't really need to, you know, you can just basically set it up as you want to. And then we go on to one thing I have noticed over the years, and I think it made a huge difference to the way my exposures turned out, was I have the monitor brightness in manual and I just leave it at 0. You can also quickly go in there, and if it's a sunny day, you can actually swap it to a sunny weather and it makes the screen really bright and nice. It's absolutely brilliant. Obviously it uses a bit more power. Viewfinder brightness is exactly the same. I have it on manual and have it on 0. Obviously you have to look through there to adjust it. Finder color temperature 0. Gamma display assist off. Volume settings maximum. So if you're playing back something like video and you can actually hear it a little bit, it's not all that great, but it's just as a reference point, isn't it? Delete, confirm, cancel first. So just in case, just stops you deleting stuff by accident. You get a warning before you delete it. Display quality high. My power save is 1 minute. My auto power off temperature is standard. Can change that to high, so you can go a bit longer, but to be honest, I'd never get it hot enough to worry. I'm in PAL, so depending on where you are, you'll be NTSC. Cleaning mode, you can just push that and it vibrates the sensor, tries to clean any dust off it as well. Touch operations are off. Like I said, you can swap them off in the thing. Touch panel only, I have it set at. And then infrared remote control, which I have one. I have that on, so it means you can obviously fire it with a infrared remote, which is really quite handy. HDMI settings or whatever. USB connection is auto. multi for LUN settings. USB power is on, so you can plug a USB power bank in and have the camera running off that. Date and time setup. Area settings, which is obviously thing. My copyright settings, which I've got in there. So basically all my images are showing a copyright message from myself. And right serial number on. So the serial number of the camera is also on the photos, obviously in the metadata. Record media settings, you can basically set it up to record to whatever different cards or whatever. Same for file settings and folder settings there. And then we're back to the setup. One cool thing you have got on here is you can basically add extra menus. You can add stuff to this anyway, but I have them on single, so I can just flick through. But you can add loads of different extra things here from all of the menus to make it really quick and easy to go into your menus and stuff. For example, for me, formatting is one of the most common things I do. I turn the camera on, I put the card in after the last job or last shoot, put the card in, I format it straight away after I've obviously backed everything up. That way you have a fresh card every single time. On the next one, I have steady shot on and off, so I can quickly turn it on and off, even though I've got it in the FN button anyway. E front curtain shutter is on or off, I can swap it there. And live view display settings on and off. So when I'm in studio, I'll turn it off generally, unless I'm using constant lighting, then I'll leave it on. Other than that, guys, oh, and also airplane mode on and off really quick, so I can connect my phone very, very quickly. But yeah, guys, that's basically how mine's set up. Feel free to pause, look at what the settings are. Obviously, there's a lot of descriptions involved in certain things, how they work and things like that. That's why I've done it quite as quick as I could, 22 minutes. They're huge menus. They're like in every camera. It's once you learn what they do and how they work. Yeah, they're different to the Nikon ones. Yeah, they're different to the Canon ones. But once you learn what they are, and the fact you've got the My Menu, you can put all the bits in here anyway that you use all the time. So once they're in there, you never go into these ones anyway. And for example, you go out into your FN thing. So 99% of the time, the only time I ever go back into the deep menu is to format my card. And that's it. So anyway, hope that helped. That's the autofocus settings I've now got, which are in there, that might be slightly different to what you have. Have a little experiment, see what you think. Any comments below is really handy. Certain things obviously I don't even use on this camera. You may use them, I may not, as do other people. So, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, I shall see you soon. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. Any questions about this, the RX-10 Mark IV, any other Sony cameras I might be able to help with, feel free. Like I say, don't forget to click the subscribe button, little notification bell. I'll see you soon.